I loved this trip we just got back from. It was so fantastic. And I'm not going to spend too much time on it because others have, but I am going to tell one Matthew story since he's here. I got to spend the first 2 days working with Matthew when we were in Racine, Wisconsin. And we were sitting at a table talking to people as they went into either the dollar store or the nail salon. And we were with our partner. There was a person from our partners organization at the table with us. They were so excited about us coming there. They had, we started with a joint training, and then we all went out. Some of us canvassed, some of us did this tabling, sat at the tables. The real Matthew story is the next day we were in Milwaukee, as others have referenced. It was Matthew's first day of canvassing. This was my 6th trip to Wisconsin. I know a ton about Wisconsin politics. And so I said to Matthew, okay, let's do the script this way. Let's talk about early voting, and then we'll switch to talking about the governor. And then if you can get in there, the senator and the attorney general. Oh, and don't forget they've been redistricted, so they have a new rep. And so we go to the first door and I'm like, yeah, Matthew, go for it. Because I had seen him yesterday talk to voters, or the previous day talk to voters. He was great. And he gets up there and he's like, what's her name? The rep. He's like, can't remember her name. And he's, wait, what order do I do things in? And we finally, we did a couple together, and he'd talk, and then I'd kind of jump in and help out when he couldn't remember names. And finally, I'm like, just, hey, Matthew, forget the script. Forget the script. Yeah, he called it's Gwen Moore is the rep, and he told one person it was Melissa Moore, so we had to go back and tell her it was Gwen Moore. But by the end of the day, Matthew's doing the doors himself, and I think gained a lot of confidence. Another first time canvassing story is my own, and this was in 2018. Charles was the team leader. So I went with a friend, another person who's a white person my age, 2 women out there, and we go in, we're dropped into this all Black neighborhood, and we're thinking, oh my God, are people going to just hate us? So we stood in front of the first door for 10 minutes, and I'd be like, okay, we're going to say this, just like I described with Matthew. Okay, first I'll say this, and then maybe you can say that, and then we're like, are you ready? And then my friend Janet would say, no, I'm not ready. So we stood out there over and over, and then we finally did it. It was one of our best conversations of the day. It was fantastic. Let me tell you a little bit about Wisconsin. Wisconsin has a terribly gerrymandered right-wing legislature and a Democratic governor. So he has so far vetoed 9 voter suppression bills. Like Michigan, Wisconsin has an old law in the book. The governor and the attorney general have said we are not going to enforce that law. If the Republican wins the governorship in Wisconsin, I do not believe Wisconsin will have a fair election in 2024. All those voter suppression bills are going to be right back on the new governor's desk to be signed. And they've come up with some really wild, obscure ways to suppress the vote. Let's say I'm going to the mailbox and want to take my daughter's ballot with me to drop in the mail. She filled it out, she signed it, it's all good. I happen to be going to the post office, I'm going to drop it in the mail. That's illegal. She has to take her own. Okay, we each have to take our own ballot. I mean, the ramifications for that, think of seniors, like people who are so senior that they're no longer mobile. Think of the disabled community. And the point is, who wins the governorship in Wisconsin matters for the whole damn country. And that is true in Michigan, that is true in Pennsylvania, and that is true, I think the other state is Nevada. There just couldn't be anything more important. But second most important, some people think it's the first most important, I think it's the second most important, is we have an opportunity to pick up a Senate seat because Wisconsin has a fire engine red senator who has frequently been referred to as the worst by Democrats, as the worst senator in the entire Senate. His name is Ron Johnson. If you watched the Jan 6 hearings, you got to hear that he wanted to send his false electors to Pence. So that was him right in the thick of it. We have a really good chance to get rid of him. And they're about to nominate a really dynamic, young, like 35 years old, young Black man to be their senator. To make that happen, the Black population in Milwaukee, in Racine, in the urban areas have got to vote. And that's why we're canvassing where we are, because this young progressive has said some kind of progressive things that might scare some people in northern Wisconsin. So that's why we're doing the work we're doing, and that's why we're doing it where we're doing. I want to say one thing about the multi-generational aspect and multiracial aspect of doing this work. That first trip, when my friend and I were nervous at the doors, that was in 2018. We were nervous because we were two white women in an all Black neighborhood. I come from Seattle. I've spent a ton of time up and down the West Coast. I've spent a fair amount of time in New York. I lived in Boston for a while. I am used to places where the races are mixed. I was shocked when I went to Milwaukee, and the only white face I saw from when I started canvassing to when I broke for lunch was my own and my friends. We had great conversations. People were welcoming. If it happened to come up that we were from out of state, they just were amazed that we cared enough to come. It was great. When I was with Matthew, we did have some conversations. I distinctly remember a conversation where the man was talking to Matthew. And I was there. You know, usually people are talking to two people, their eyes go back and forth. Not this guy. I mean, I could have been rubbish on the sidewalk for all it mattered. He was talking to Matthew. And Matthew, I don't know if you even picked up on that, but it really brought this guy out, that he got to talk to someone who looked like him, only a whole lot younger. It's a wonderful thing to be out there. And it's weird, every trip I say, oh, this was better than the last. Well, this one was better than the last.